It's Trisha here with Villa Rosa Designs. Today we're going to free motion quilt the Yin Yang quilt from last week's blog post. So I hope you're ready to do a little wavy and wiggly lines. I usually quilt with music because I really like the beat, but today I'm going to do it quietly because without music, because there will be enough noise because of the sewing machine. So I've layered my little yin yang cat quilt from last week. It only took a fat quarter for the backing. I used my favorite batting, which is an 80% cotton, 20% polyester, and I actually didn't need to use any adhesive or any pins to put this together. Because it's the size of a placemat, it's actually very small, so I actually used my iron to press the layers together. And a quick tip, not a cute tip, well, I guess it could be cute, but a quick tip is that cotton sticks to cotton. So I can press my layers together and you can see it sticks. It's sticking together. I don't have to use pins. I don't have to use an iron-on adhesive to stick things together. Cotton sticks to cotton. So I think that's a really good little tip for small projects. If you were doing a bed-size quilt, you definitely would need to use something to help hold the layers together while you quilt it. But for something as little as this, a little quick press with the iron, it kind of smooths everything out. It straightens things out. It gets rid of the wrinkles or the creases, and I'm ready to go. So let's talk for a minute about the setup that I use. I'm going to move Yin Yang out of the way so that you can see. I actually have an acrylic table around my machine. My sewing machine is a Janome Memory Craft 8900 QCP. And I love this machine. It's fantastic. An awesome part about it is that the throat, which is the point from the needle to the side, the inside of the machine, for me, it's almost a foot wide, which gives me a huge amount of space to work. And I can actually quilt up to a throw or a small twin on this machine, on my domestic machine, without having to be too uncomfortable. I like to use a free motion foot or a darning foot that actually goes and fits with my machine. If you don't have one, you can get them like a generic version that will fit different ones. You need to know whether this part of your machine is a high shank, a low shank, or, oh, there's one more type of shank. But I don't know that they do that anymore. Most of them are high shank or low shank machines. Mine is a low shank machine. So you need to make sure that you get the correct foot for your machine, whether it's a generic one or whether it's one that matches your machine. The best bet is to get one that goes with your machine from your wherever you bought your sewing machine. That's usually the best bet. So I have my table, I have my free motion foot. The next thing I need to do is I need to drop my little feed dogs right here. Those are the little teeth things that actually pull the fabric through going this way. When we free motion quilt, we drop them so that we can take our fabric in any direction we want, which is why it's called free motion. We're not going in the same direction all the time. I can move this in any direction, which is one reason why I love free motion quilting. I will tell you, I have never been very good at quilting straight lines. So that takes us back to, one moment. You'll see that I'm wearing gloves on my hands. These are Amity Swan gloves. They're built kind of like a golf glove. And I found these a couple of years ago at Quilt Market, and I really like them. They have a leather base. They also have a padded base, so that helps me to be able to put my hands down, but without putting a lot of pressure down on the quilt. So gloves are a really helpful thing. If you've never tried them before, I suggest trying different kinds of gloves to find the kind that you like. Now, It helps me to grip the fabric and hold the fabric without having to grip it. Well, let me bring my quilt back here and I'll show you what I mean. It helps me to be able to slide the fabric like this in any, as you see, any direction I want to go. And with this type of glove, because I have the padding on my hands, the palms of my hands, I don't have to press hard, because when you press, you can't move it. So you need to be very gentle and very relaxed so that your fabric will move. And you can see that having this table, my fabric is not like draped over an edge. It is flat, and it gives me a nice big place to work and a place to put my hands. If you have a small machine, your hands are going to be up against the needle, and that actually can be a little difficult to work with. It also makes it harder to see. So you really kind of need to have an area to see. The farther out I can put my hands, the more I can see what I'm doing. So just some suggestions with free motion quilting for you. Now, when you do wiggly lines, which is what we're going to do today, a lot of people actually use a walking foot, or they use their regular sewing machine foot. But I like to use my free motion foot so that I can make my wiggly lines as wiggly as I want to. So let's get started. Because this is a small project, I'm going to actually start up here at the top, somewhere around the middle, and I am going to start just outside the edge of the quilt. You know, let me turn my light off. You might be able to see there. Can you see better now? Okay, sorry about that. I have a light right here that I use to light up where my needle is, because I need that extra light. So that's, I guess, another idea for you. So anyway, there is a light over here under my machine, but it lights up over here. And there is a small light here, but it's just not enough light for me. I like to have that light directed down. But for this demo, I think I will opt not to use the light. It is a small project, so it shouldn't be any problem. So I'm going to start right off the edge of my quilt. I'm going to start in the batting, because you always want to make your batting and your backing bigger than your quilt top, because that way you have a landing strip, but also it just gives you a little extra room. So if things shift or move, you've got that little bit of extra to give you a little safety net, I guess you could say. So we're going to start. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my needle down, and I am going to do that. And now I'm ready to go. I have my needle ready to go. I'm going to press the presser foot, and I'm going to make wiggly lines. I'm just going to wiggle down through the center of the quilt. And because I didn't use any pins, you'll notice that I need to stop a second, and I need to press that back down, because while it was down here in front of me, between me and the sewing machine table, it kind of got a little out of control. So let's go ahead and we're going to sew all the way to the bottom. Now, instead of cutting my thread, because I've been quilting for, oh gosh, I don't know, 20 some years, I'm a self-taught machine quilter, so I've kind of figured it out on my own and learned that way, learned by doing, that I'm not going to cut the thread and then start back at the top. I actually can go in different directions. So I'm just going to move over a little bit, and I'm going to do another wiggly line. And you can cross your lines if you want to. You can pretty much, it's your quilt. You can pretty much do anything that you want to do. I don't know, can you see that? I'm a little concerned that you might not be able to see that. So I'm going to move over at the top. I'm in the batting, remember. And now I'm going to go down, and I'm going to do another line. And I'm thinking you may not be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, I made some adjustments. I'm hoping this is going to work better and you'll be able to see what I'm doing better. But I'm again off of the quilt, And I'm going to try to keep my hand over out of the way here so you can see. I apologize if you didn't see it at first, but we'll try this again. I'm going to just quilt over a little bit, and then I'm going to start my wiggly lines again. And you can cross, you can wiggle around. The weirder, the more you move it, the more interesting I think the quilt gets. So we're just going to continue. We're going to work all the way across to this side because I started in the middle and I'm going to move to the right. And then I'll show you what happens next. So let me try to keep my hand out of the way. And we'll do some more wiggly lines here. Does it really matter how you do this? No. When it comes to wiggly lines, you really can't make too many mistakes because they're fun, they're interesting. It adds all kinds of texture to your quilt. You can also do crazy wiggly lines. So it's just a fun thing to do. Because these cats are kind of fun and crazy, but I think I wanted the quilting to be fun and crazy too. And wiggly lines are very, very forgiving and very friendly on how you do them and what works. And I still don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I hope so, or else I'm going to have to come up with something else. All right, it looks like I've got about one more wiggly line to do here for the end of the quilt. That's usually the hardest one to do because that edge of the quilt has a tendency to not cooperate. So please forgive me. I need to bring my hand over here. In order to do this last wiggly line. This is the time where I'm actually going to cut the thread. And I'm going to turn my quilt over. Let's see if I can show you the machine quilting that I've done so far. And you can see my wiggly lines. At least I think you can. And I apologize. I used gray and thinking, oh, gray will look really great, but I guess I wasn't thinking about how this would look on the camera. So we're going to turn it around upside down, and we're going back to the center because we already quilted from this side to this side, but now I'm going to start in the middle, and now I'm going to quilt to the other side, but I'm quilting it with the cats pointing. The cats are upside down now. Before they were right side up. So that's kind of the trick in doing this. That helps to keep the fullness of the quilt getting into the middle because you always want to be pushing the fullness to the outside edges of the quilt. So that's why you start in the middle and you work out. So we're going to start just off the edge of the fabric here. And let me move my hand out of the way as much as possible. And we're just going to start. And we're going to do another wiggly line. And again, you can do anything you want with a wiggly line. I'm off the fabric again. And so I'm going to move over to the right in the batting, and now I'm going to quilt going upward, and I'm going to quilt another wiggly line. This is pretty fun. Whoops, you know what? I got this thread caught right here, and it got stuck, and now I have to move it out of the way. I got the thread out of the way, and we're going to continue finishing up this wiggly line, which is really quite a silly wiggly line. I'm going to move over in the batting above the edge of the fabric, and I am going to do another wiggly line. which is pretty funny because I'm crossing over and I'm going right up and touching and the other one beside it. And I'm making it kind of crazy and fun because wiggly lines, to me, should be crazy and fun. So wiggly lines look really good on interesting quilts. I probably wouldn't do this on a Civil War type of quilt because I don't think it would go on a Civil War quilt. But this black and white cat quilt, it looks really awesome to me because it's yin and yang and it's silly and it's fun. And black and white to me is a very modern color combination. So I think that it just really works. It looks like I'm going to get about 1 or 2 more wiggly lines. So I'm going to go back up into the batting above the fabric, come over, and do some more wiggly lines. Do your wiggly lines have to cross or do they have to touch? No, not at all. Remember, you're in control. I'm going to go ahead and do the last one here. You are in control of your quilting. And it's entirely up to you what you decide to do. So have some fun with it. Experiment when you're making wiggly lines. And there we go. I am done quilting my quilt. I'm going to pull it up here so you can see it a little bit closer. You can see my wiggly lines are not all the same. And I am actually all done quilting this little quilt in about 10 minutes, which is terrific. Next, I will need to do binding and finish it, put a label on it, and done. So I hope that this helped you maybe to get the courage and the bravery to try free motion quilting. Wiggly lines are a lot of fun. And they do hide mistakes. If you cross over a line, then cross over a line somewhere else. If you zig one way, zag the other way. So they are very forgiving and a lot of fun. And I hope this video helps. Thank you so much for watching.